My brethren, today we're going to take a look at possibly one of the coolest looking classes in Diablo 4, the Necromancer. We're going to go over things like the playstyle, basic skills, the unique class mechanics, the core skills, the amazing looking ultimates, as well as some of the legendary aspects we know so far, to see if we can answer the question, should you main it? So, without further ado,
let's get into it, shall we?
So guys, the first thing you need to know about is the Diablo 4 giveaway. You could win yourself a copy of the base game. It's very simple to join, link down in the description below. So in Diablo 4, there's a bit of an interesting spin when it comes to the playstyle of the Necromancer. You can either choose to be a bit of a commander of death, summoning things like skeletal warriors and mages, and crushing your foes with your army of the dead, or you can choose to sacrifice your ability to summon these for personal power. This gives you more options for the playstyle that you want to choose, and I think the versatility here is actually really cool. And when it comes to equipment, the Necromancer is the only class at launch that can use a scythe. You can also use a one-handed sword and shield, for example, if you want to be more tanky. And once you see all the skills, I'm sure you'll agree that there's loads of options when it comes to the Necromancer. But first, let's dive into the class specialization. And this is the Book of the Dead. Now, this book allows you to further customize your summons, which are skeletal warriors, skeletal mages, and a golem. Turning, for example, your skeletal warriors into either skirmishers, defenders, or reapers. Skirmishers are your standard warriors but have increased damage and reduced health, while defenders have bonus health and reapers have slower attacks that deal damage in an AoE in front of them and have a special wind-up attack that deals a high amount of damage. Even more customization, like your golem here, can be bone, blood, or iron, giving it different effects. For example, bone increases the golem's maximum life and thorns damage. For blood, your golem absorbs damage for you. And iron gives the golem a smashing AoE attack. Not only this, you'll also be able to select a separate upgrade for each of your summons, or you can just choose to sacrifice your summon, taking away your ability to summon that particular summon, but you'll get yourself a permanent buff. Next, let's talk about the skills. These are basic skills, core skills, macabre skills, corruption skills, summoning skills, and ultimate skills. For basic skills, there isn't much information out there yet, but as you can tell, these are going to be your standard spammable skills, and these are going to charge up things like your essence bar, which is one of the two main resources the Necromancer uses, with the other one being corpses, but this is essentially going to be like your mana bar. Next up, we have core skills. These skills drain essence. The first of these is Bone Spear. Conjure a bone spear, piercing enemies and dealing damage. If this hits terrain, it will rebound back into 3 splinters. And next, with no footage, we have Sever. A spectre of you charges forward and attacks with its scythe for damage, then returns to you and attacks again for more damage. Next is Blight. Cast a ball of energy in any direction that explodes upon impact. This deals immediate AoE damage, then further damage over time to any enemy that stands in the area. Blood Surge, a close-range AoE attack that draws blood from surrounding enemies to create a blood nova. The damage dealt by this attack is wholly dependent on how much blood is drawn by the Necromancer, so the more enemies you hit, the more damage it does. Then lastly, with no footage, we have Blood Lance. Throw a Blood Lance that lingers in an enemy for 3 seconds, dealing damage to the enemy and all other lanced enemies. From here, we have Macabre skills. First off is Bone Prison. Call forth a wall of bone completely surrounding the target area, trapping enemies inside. And then we have Blood Mist, a defensive skill that grants temporary immunity from damage by transforming the Necromancer into a mist of blood. As an added bonus, it also drains life from enemies near you. This is going to be an insanely powerful skill for those clutch moments. Then the trusty Corpse Explosion, exploding corpses for big AoE damage. From here, we have corruption skills. The first is Iron Maiden. Curse the target area, and enemies that land attacks in that area take damage up to a certain percentage back at them. And next, no footage, Decrepify. Curse the target area. Enemies affected by Decrepify are slowed for 50% and deal 25% less damage for 10 seconds. Next, we have summoning skills. Now, these aren't your typical summons. They are things like Bone Spirit. Conjure a spirit of bone that seeks out the nearest enemy, exploding, dealing AoE damage. This skill uses all of your remaining essence, and the more you have, the more damage it does. Then with no footage, we have corpse tendrils. Summoning veins out of a corpse, pull enemies in and stun them for 3 seconds, dealing damage to them as well. There's also another skill that I found footage of and information for, and this is decompose. Channel dark magic into your enemies, dealing damage and generating essence simultaneously. This skill also summons corpses. The problem with this skill is I'm not entirely sure if it is going to be in the game from the information I have, or what skill tree it's supposed to be a part of. And then lastly, we have the ultimate skills. The first one being Army of the Dead, calling forth a group of skeletons to charge your enemies and explode, dealing AoE damage. Next, we have Bone Storm, summon a Bone Storm, dealing damage around you. And finally, Blood Wave, summon a wave of blood to deal huge damage and knock back enemies. So as you can see, there's a ton of options for diversity here for your playstyle if you want to be more summony and stay back with some range casting abilities, or jump in with some close range Nova abilities dealing damage with maybe a sword and shield, or having minions or sacrificing them for extra damage for yourself. I think you'll agree the Necromancer is extremely versatile. But I also want to take this moment to invite you to join the Brotherhood. This is the clan we'll be making for launch and for beta, so come join the Discord and get involved. Link down in the description below. Another thing I want to mention is Necromancers have access to this Blood Orb. This is a mechanic where you can pick up a Blood Orb to restore 15% of your maximum health. This seems really huge and super strong for the Necromancer, since the other classes, as far as I'm aware, don't have access to this. And finally, I want to go over the known legendary aspects for the Necromancer, but I won't describe all of them because otherwise we'll be here all day. But remember that corpse tendril skill I was just talking about? Check out this top one. Enemies stunned by corpse tendrils are also made vulnerable for its duration, and if they die while stunned, they have a 15% chance to spawn a blood orb. So if you want a real tanky build, utilizing this could be really good. Next, check out this bottom one, a sacrificial aspect. Your sacrifice bonuses are increased by 15%. So if you don't want a summoning build, this could be super strong for you. And to finish off the offensive ones, check this out. While Army of the Dead, which is your ultimate, remember, is active, your minions gain 70% attack speed and take 90% reduced damage. That's nuts. That basically makes your minions invincible when you've got your ultimate active. And they have tons more attack speed. Sounds pretty cool. Next, we have some resource ones. Things like Fast Blood Aspect, which makes Blood Orbs reduce your ultimate's cooldown by 0.5 seconds. Or even Requiem Aspect, you gain 3 maximum essence per active minion. And then lastly, we've got some utility ones. This top one, critical strikes with bone skills increase your essence regeneration by 20% for 4 seconds. So now you're pretty much up to date with all the information there is out there. The question is, should you main it? For me, this is a huge yes. I cannot wait to get involved with the Necromancer, and I will be streaming this a ton when we get a chance in the upcoming second beta, and I really do hope to see you there. But until the next one, guys, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in Discord.